Welcome to Prague Will Find a Way, your friendly neighborhood podcast about Prague rock. I'm Jay Belew.
I'm Jonathan Block.
And we are joined once again by our friend Ted Winchell. So now, which leads us to our next thing, the Beat concerts, which are happening right now. All caps, which is Adrian Belew and Tony Levin from King Crimson, along with Steve Vai and Danny Carey playing drums. And they are out and about and doing good business from what I understand.
Good business.
And I've seen a couple of the clips on YouTube, which are great.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Oh, yeah, they're very good. I'd say.
And they are having fun. I think you said Adrian looks like he's the happiest person on earth.
Yeah. He looks like he's a kid at his own birthday party.
Right.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
They sound great. They're playing great. You have an opinion? I want to hear it.
I don't really have any opinions. I always was very curious to hear how Steve Vai would be, and I'm not disappointed. It's very cool.
Good.
You know, he's very, very cool. It felt like I've watched the videos, and they're very good. I mean, it's interesting to see a lot of what they're doing.
How dare you?
It kind of, you know. Please mute all cell phones. It follows very much the 84 tour, like the live Japan video. It's very similar to that. So I don't really have a desire to see them. Like,
because
so I saw the band many times, and even by 84 I was feeling jaded, like, oh, this is good, but it was just a little more polished. It's just my own bias. Like I saw them probably like every time they played at Toad's Place. So, you know, they'd come for 2 days and they played 2 shows, and it was just like right in your face. And then, you know, and then like in the 82, they were still playing small places. And then Beat came out, and then I saw them at the Pier in New York, and it was like, okay, it was a little bigger. It was just different. And then in 84, I saw them in an even bigger place, and it was more like seeing them recently, like more of a theater. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, we went to go see Crimson, right? We saw them with the 3-drummer.
Yeah, so
set,
we saw 2014, which was amazing, but that was like a theater.
It was
a theater show. So it's really the difference between, I don't want to say like, oh, they sold because they were already a band, but it was like there was a definite difference in seeing them in a small place.
Right, like Toad's Place.
Right, but not just that. It was also
the Sony Theater.
They were playing a lot of that material. They were testing it out and changing it. And there were songs that they play that just disappeared. It was just a different. So to have experience that, like to be a huge Crimson fan when they were not around, that was like one of the first bands I ever got into. And then all of a sudden they came back. You know, and it was like, oh, and like, you know, I'm a senior in high school and I could actually go see them. It was kind of mind-blowing for me at the time. So that had a huge impact on me, like just how I enjoy music as a musician, like this 6-month period where they toured a lot and they were testing out new material. It was like, wow, it was just amazing. And then, you know, Beat came out, and don't forget, at the time, Fripp was writing in a lot of magazines. Like, you knew what was going on in the band, and even then, you knew things were not well. And then, by the time 3 of a Perfect Pair came out, there was the really big article, and I think it was Musician
was always covering them.
And they were not they were just kind of a lot of tension in there. And then the album came out and it was like different, and I saw them and it was like it was over. You knew it was over. You knew that.
So, but you're comparing what you're watching to that?
I'm comparing because I'm seeing it through that lens. Because I experienced that. I'm hearing the songs again, and it's like, this is cool. I love hearing Steve Vai do it. Yeah. And look, if they came to the Warehouse or Sacred Heart, of course I'd go see it. You know, of course I would go see it. But I have all these biases of.
But have you watched the videos where they look like they're having a blast up there? There's no
they are. I'm not saying, but I'm not saying that I don't think they're playing well or it's not cool. Yeah. It's just the template that they're using is just like the 84 template to me.
Was the 84 template?
That was the three of the perfect pair, obviously, because they have to play all three albums. Again, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is just like my own biases.
Right.
He's getting in the way.
Was their template, because I heard that they play all the wacky stuff up front, and then the second half of the show is all the songs people might know better.
Is it?
That's
Because
what
I
I
looked at
heard.
the set list, and it's kind of varied. I mean,
Okay.
you know,
I don't know. That's what I heard. Somebody said,
three of
Adrian
the
goes, we're
perfect
gonna
pair."
break and come back and play songs you might actually know.
Well, that may be after that middle section where they do play three or four songs of the more offbeat songs from Three of a Perfect Pair.
Okay.
You know, it's like if you watch if you watch the video, the Live in Japan video from '84, it's just different even from the '82 video, The Noise. It's no different than the way you think about some Yes stuff. You know? It's
no,
like
I think
when you live through it, and this, like I said, this in particular, it was just that. I mean, it was like luck in my life, right? I was into this band heavily that was gone, and then all of a sudden they were coming back, and I was actually at an age where I could enjoy it. You know, like I wasn't old and didn't care like a lot of bands coming around now, but I wasn't too young.
I'm looking at the set list. The whole first half, there's nothing from Discipline on it,
Right?
which is
Which
is probably why you said though we're going to come back and play the songs you know.
Right, but you know, and then I see so I've watched about 2 or 3 full show videos. So I've watched the full show. It looks like you don't. Oh yeah, because it's great. I am not in any way saying it's not great. I'm just saying it's a lot for me to. Which is different than when we saw, because we would see the Tony Levin. We saw those tours, Tony Levin with Adrian Belew, and you know, those were cool too. But it wasn't being presented as you know, this was like. Again, like Steve Vai is just amazing. Like, it is so cool to hear, particularly like, you know, Thala and these Neil and Jack and Me. There's that one where they do Neil and Jack and Me, and there was some other thing, and I was like, wow, this is freaking mind blowing. That was mind blowing to me.
So within that, I remember we went to see. I think it was Stickmen and then the Adrian Belew band at Fairfield Theater.
I saw that.
Yeah, with Julie Slick and
Yes.
And
with Julie Slick.
Yeah.
And
it was really good and the whole thing, but you go, and at the end of the show you go, that was fantastic, but you know, there's no replacing Robert Fripp.
Of course.
How do you feel about Steve's moment in this beat band relative to that Robert Fripp?
That isn't even to me. It's more the totality. It's the whole experience because of what I had explained before. Yeah. But I don't miss him. I mean, it's weird because Steve Vai is amazing, and I've always we talked about Steve Vai before. Part of it is he's such a nice guy. I mean, if you ever listen to interviews with him, he's just such a nice guy with a good head on his shoulders and just knows music. You know, he's always. I mean, I've been fascinated by him since the Zappa days. I mean, they would have interviews with him in 80 or 81 in Guitar Player about how he, basically banged on Frank Zappa's door and said, I'll transcribe, and he transcribed all his music. So he's just an amazing musician. I've always enjoyed his music. So I think he is the perfect person for this. And I don't miss Fripp at all, in the sense that it would not be, because we already know through living through the 10 years of 2014 to whatever, or the 8 years that they were together, that this was not ever going to be a unit again. So that to me, it's like, it's better. Like, I don't, honestly, if the 4 of them came back, even Bruford, I don't know what that would be like.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't be the same. So,
and I don't think that
you could not pick 2 better people to do this with. So, as a celebration, everything, I have nothing negative against this, and it's just I can't separate the two. But I can say that Steve Vai is just amazing. I mean,
the funny thing is about that, I think that because there are the other people in the band, I don't think they feel this need to not have it a celebration.
Right.
Versus if it was all 4 of them getting back together, I think they would feel the need, those 4 individuals as a unit, to do something different than Celebration.
And to answer the question, what's next?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's something, whether it's the Beat tour
Group.
or some of the other recent tours that we've talked about. If any of these acts, if any of these gigs were 20 years ago, we would have been like, they should do an album and they should do another tour. And now, if you just kind of look at it for what it is, it's like, this is a great gig.
But they might not. And if they don't,
might not. But I would not be surprised if they did.
Right. But it's like when the Anderson Bruford or Anderson, Wakeman, Rabin, that whole thing got together. I was satisfied. I wanted a new album, but I was satisfied with those shows.
I would love an album.
Yeah.
Oh, I would. I would love an album.
I can't. Although, to be honest, I don't know what that would be like because they're going down one avenue, right? It's like it's Steve Vai playing, but he's still that interlocking. You can't. They wouldn't do that.
They'd have to play it in the style of King Crimson for it to be part of this beat.
Or they would have to morph into
something
a different band where they were doing original.
Or do a Crimson and do a half and half.
Right.
And that could be interesting.
I don't know. I think
half craziness and half top 40 songs. Not really top 40, but you know what I mean.
Well, the funny thing is that like I feel the opposite too. Like the 2014 and on band, like I never really enjoyed when they did the 80s songs, like Indiscipline and Neurotica. They were fine, but it was like they didn't move me the way that because those are like such smaller band, like the other.
That's right. Having
was orchestrated
8 people in the band,
which was fine for a lot of 70s music because it was overdubbed or there was guests and all that for a lot of those early albums. But when it was the four of them, it was
this tight little.
And there was an overdub here or there, but not much. They had no trouble
and no room for anybody else.
Exactly. But so to hear to like Indiscipline, and it just didn't. It was more lumbering,
Yeah,
it was more. I
agree.
Lumbering. But anyways, Beat itself, as truthfully, I would love to hear new music. Like that would excite me more than this, because the combination of the four of them, just Levin and Steve Vai. Like, we don't even need... I'm not saying this, okay? But, like, I would love to hear a trio, an instrumental, because Steve Vai plays instrumental trios all the time. Right. So, Danny, Tony, and Steve.
Adrian can still do instrumental.
I'm not throwing Adrian to the curb. I'm just saying, in addition to, as part of that.
Oh, Crimson did plenty of instrumentals.
The three of them should do Groon. Danny, Tony, and Steve Vai should do Groon. Or start a trio and call it Groon.
You just threw Adrian to the curb.
No, this is Beat. It's going on as well. They're doing multiple projects.
Project G.
Right.
No, I mean, Tony Levin does a million things anyways. Steve Vai's always doing a million things.
So I'm not as huge an aficionado of Frank Zappa as you are, but was Adrian?
Yes, so Adrian was speaking of Steve Vai. Adrian
were they ever together?
No,
with Frank?
No. Adrian was with Frank in '78.
Okay, I didn't know. I was just wondering if they ever had originally crossed paths or been in the same group.
No, because Steve Vai was more, I think, 80 was when he came into 79, 80 was when he came into Frank's orbit, but he didn't start coming on stage, I think, because, like I said, he was a kid.
Yeah.
He transcribed, which just blows my mind, because that music is so... But it's no different than Trey Gunn transcribing all the Crimson music from the 80s, which is also mind-blowing. And that's what Steve Vai used. I love there was the first video where Steve Vai's like, he was learning the stuff
and he's learning it
and he's got the book and he's like, I
remember I saw that.
Yeah, he's like,
I saw
this
that
thing
interview.
is, and because he obviously, I mean, he's theory-wise, he's amazing, so he can just open it up and play whatever it is, and that's what I think is great too about this, because he got that out of the way right in the beginning, and then he just starts adding his own kind of flavor to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were never in the band at the same time.
Okay.
But just because, I mean, every time you watch YouTube, new things come up, and I should have sent you the link. There was a video, I think it may be from... So after Zappa, he went with Bowie. So this would have been 79 live, where Bowie's doing Heroes and Adrian Belew's playing. And they're doing some other tune too. And David Bowie's like, stands off to the side because Adrian Belew's doing all his stuff. People don't remember that all those weird
Twang
things he
Bar
was
King.
doing with Crimson, he was already doing with Zappa and with David Bowie. And he does this, the rhinoceros and the elephants and all that solo. And Bowie's standing off to the side with this big grin on his face. Check it out. It's a great video.
Was that before he was playing the Parker guitar?
Yeah. This was he was using a Strat.
Yeah.
He was using that old brownish modeled Strat that he used at Crimson right at the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if they come back around, I would certainly see them. They would be really good in at the community theater.
Yeah, it might be too small for them though.
It probably is. Well, that's the great thing, right? They book smaller places at the beginning, and then right from like day one,
when tickets sold out immediately,
they went to big things. So I hope that's a motivator to keep going.
Yeah.
But I just can't see. All four of them are so creative. I can't see them not writing. So even if they don't do anything but jam, like I find it really hard to believe that Steve Vai isn't going to start pulling stuff out. And they're all not just going to start doing stuff.
Who's to say?
I don't know. That's my prog wish for the holiday season.
Your other wish.
What was my first?
Yeah, we're going.
Oh, right, yeah, my
Long
band.
Beach when you put your bands together.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have Keith in it, so it would more be what was the other band?
The band
John Anderson, Carl Palmer band. Anderson, Palmer. No, it would have to be Anderson, somebody in Palmer.
We had Wakeman in there.
Yeah, I know, but there's no bass player.
Levin. We had Tony Levin, didn't we?
Anderson, Levin.
Yes.
Anderson, Levin, and Palmer. Well, L and B. Now we need
the Alp. We need an S. S for the guitar.
Or you could make a band of all the people you are trying to push to the side. You have like Nad Sullivan. Did you want to push Nad and Adrian Belew?
Oh, right. Steve Hackett was your guitar player.
Yeah. Steve Hackett was. It's only because he's around, but it's like he's not. Well, he's over here. Maybe he lives here now. He doesn't live in America. He needs to be here.
Oh, Steve Hackett.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways. Maybe the guy from Wishbone Ash that lives near us.
I think we're good for this episode.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so as always, Prague will find a way.
If you want it to.